Hey, why are there combustion fumes like from a bullet coming out of that camera's telephoto lens? Because when I enlarged it in my Adobe Premiere Pro video and editing, you can see the combustion fumes from the bullet coming out of it. That's not a real camera. That's a housing for a camera with a firing mechanism inside. It's similar to the one I found online, which is a CIA Stinger.
I made a video about this a couple weeks ago about a suspicious man behind right here. And then I found him on TikTok a couple weeks ago. They deleted his video. He reposted it right here. And then I found him here on YouTube.
22 Magnum pin gun inside a camera, and that telephoto lens has a suppressor, silencer, and it's literally the smoking gun. As I demonstrated in my previous video, Charlie had 2 wounds. One came in here from the roof and it stayed in the body. The other one came from his right into the lower part of the skull within the hairline, and it came out. You see that dot? That's the second shot, hundredths of a second after the first shot from the guy on the roof. It was an entry wound. That's why it took longer for it to start to bleed. Now, you see the big blood on top hasn't touched it. That means it's separated from the second hole. And if it didn't come from the front shooter, did Charlie already have a hole in his shirt? So, and as you watch, it never touches it until later on. So that entry wound is allowing the blood to come out now. As you can see, it's making its own flow separate from the exit wound and the neck. Now watch the path of the bullet and its literal cover-up. When bullets travel supersonic, faster than sound, they create a lot of high pressure in the front and low pressure travel behind it. And right there in the middle, within the low pressure, is a vacuum. Even the bullet has shrunk because of the pressure. In this photo, I found there was a pellet or a fragment of the bullet trailing behind it. That's how powerful it is. With Charlie, the high pressure in front of the bullet hit him, even filled his shirt with air, pushed his skin. Then the bullet penetrated the skull and dislodged some air. And then the low pressure zone collapses as the surrounding air rushes in to fill in that vacuum, and that's what blew the hair away. And the shooter from the front hit Charlie in the chest. It pushed him back a little bit and up. And once again, to explain the first shot to the back, then the bullet...
You can also see blood coming out. I have some videos where you can see the blood coming out right here.
Penetrated the skull and dislodged some air. And then the low pressure zone collapses as the surrounding air rushes in to fill in that vacuum. Push the hair up. I found this photo of the autopsy online. I don't agree with it. Vacuum. Push the hair up.
There's the blood right there.
I found this photo of the autopsy online. I don't agree with it. I think it's too much damage. And they have the entry...
And I'm not sold on the 2 shots. I'm sold on the one on the back. I'm not sold on this one.
I found this photo of the autopsy online. I don't agree with it.
And
I found this photo of the autopsy online.
that bullet there is this one here.
found this photo of the autopsy online. I don't agree with it. I think it's too much damage. And they have the entry wound here, but that's a lie because the entry wound to the front is here. This one is from the back, so it's an exit wound. And I believe the base of the skull was hit. That's why it jolted him. It changed the trajectory of the bullet, so the C1 or C2 was damaged. You see how they're covering the bullet up? Now, the amazing thing, at frame 73 or 213, you're going to see the...
They replaced this whole area 5 days after the shooting.
You see how they're covering the bullet up? Now, the amazing thing, at frame 73 or 213, you're going to see the combustion fumes come out right here from the bullet. Right there. See it? It's 214. Watch. Let me enlarge it. Does this thing get cleared? Okay, here we go. Right here. There it is. It's starting to come out. Again. 213. 214. 215. Fumes from the bullet. See it right there? Notice how it's on top because it's fumes and it looks like a little mushroom cloud. Well, I found this gun online and it's funny because it's on the same side as this photo. It has a little mushroom cloud coming out too. I know enough about cameras. This is a Sony 24 to 105. The guy's holding the camera like this. Okay? He's got it vertical. He puts his hand on it. His thumb is here so he can press it. So you see a little bit of the thumb like that, and you can see him going like that, pressing it. My point is, you can see in the film, you can see my photos, that he's showing a little bit of thumb, then he's closing it. You don't see his thumb no more because he's fired the mechanism at the same time, and you hear the shot. Is that a coincidence? And another thing, his telephoto lens is for long distance. So I want to see that camera and not the other camera that had the shorter lens before he switched to these longer lens when he was taking pictures. Watch the rest of this video. The exact camera and lens and all the footage, it better be, with depth of field for distance objects. And I bet you he has no film in there and he has no photos. That's the first thing I want to see. Where do you think Steven Spielberg got the idea from when the Israeli Mossad used a single-barrel bicycle pump to take out a lady they thought was a terrorist who bombed the Olympic team? They denied it and said the crew made it up. I don't believe that. They are into espionage, and they do that kind of thing, just like the United States. Google it. Now let me run the clip and show you who the shooter is. I believe he had a black cap and a brown shirt, but with a collar. 17 seconds earlier, he was using the viewfinder, faking it, to take pictures. The viewfinder also focuses and zooms in on the subject target. So I believe it could be a partially working camera, or it just could be the lens is the weapon, because all you need is a tube, a strong rubber band, a nail to strike the end of a bullet, like the Munich movie. The bullet's traveling faster than sound. That's why you see the flash before you hear the sound. There he is. He looks like he has scruffles. I believe he has a black hat. He's also wearing a watch in his left hand. Oh, and don't forget the backpack with the dangling straps. And there he is in front of Charlie. This shooter who's going to be behind Charlie with the camera gun is scouting the area and what angle to shoot the bullet. Because if he misses, he's going to hit one of the audience people, and that's going to mess up the mission. And the one shooter theory. And if it hasn't been planned already, he's trying to see from what direction, front or back. But one thing he is doing, he is taking pictures, but with a completely different camera with a smaller lens. And he's not using the viewfinder, he's using the LCD screen and the back of the camera to either take pictures of Charlie or maybe video in this frame if you look at him. And here he is again, filming or photographing Charlie with the same camera with a smaller lens, using the LCD monitor of that camera. And if you look at it closely, there's no black and white markings like the other camera he's going to switch to in the future. Look at the difference. And this lens of mine can achieve pretty good depth of field when I use it with a 4K camera. And look at the distance that this camera guy is from Charlie. It's basically the same distance as when he was behind Charlie. So why is he switching to another camera with a longer lens if the one he has is good enough? Those lenses on that weapon seem to be 300 or 400 millimeters. Is he going to film a bird in a tree or some lion in the distance? I believe after he takes that inhumane shot, he takes that camera and lens, aka the weapon, and puts it back where he got it from. I don't believe he got it from his backpack. It's a special weapon, and I don't think he'll put it back in his backpack. What if you get stopped and searched? So I think he put it back where he got it from, and that is in a black Chrysler minivan Pacifica with stock rims. This is my Adobe Premiere Pro program. I'll play the whole clip first, then I'll pause it and break it down.
Too many.
Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm going to give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
Okay, let me play it.
Too many.
Let me pause it. There he is right there. Holding the camera, using the viewfinder, making sure it's all operational and working properly. And watch this very skinny guy. I believe they're communicating and he's telling him that he's ready. I believe the shooter has to be next to someone with the receiver and transmitter because he has to focus. And he takes his little radio in his hand here, puts it to his mouth, and gets the team working. Now watch. Now this guy with the arrow on him moves at the same time as the cameraman because he goes to the back of the Chrysler Pacifica minivan, kicks the boot to open it up so they can put their equipment there after the shooting, which I believe strongly is so they can blend in. And now he's making this move, and I outlined the other guy's hat for identification purposes in the future. Let me pause it. Now he's looking over his shoulder. This guy right here with a baseball cap that's half brown and half black in the back, I believe. He goes back to the radio. This very skinny guy with a two-tone hat is connected to that Pacifica minivan because he's sitting in the back of the boot in the cargo before Charlie gets there.
Right, I'm going to give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been?
And now the Chrysler minivan's boot opens up, and maybe some of the other fake camera people put their stuff in there too.
In America over the last 10 years.
He's going out behind Charlie.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
That's what he was doing. He was going to his position behind Charlie. And that guy behind there hiding behind the tent, that guy is the signal guy. He's the radio guy waiting for the guy on the roof to tell him when he's ready so he can give the signal to this guy to shoot so they can shoot simultaneously and make everybody think there's only one guy shooting and avoid any conspiracy. And his accomplice is using a monopod to hold all that.
I think the ones that were giving the signal to the shooter on the roof to mask this shooter was Frank and the security guard.
And when usually you use a tripod like everybody else in the front. The reason being is so that he can become mobile and make the excuse that he wasn't there at the time or wasn't pointing the camera at him. Because if there was a tripod, why would you pick it up and turn it away from Charlie or swivel away right at the moment that Charlie was shot? But he was hiding behind there because you wouldn't take the tripod and put it behind it. If you swivel this, he's right behind Charlie, hiding. And then he runs with this guy. If you look closely, before he turns, he has scruffles too, and he has a fade haircut, no baseball cap, he has a Zoom mic, he has a monitor, and he's using a monopod. And this is what he's doing later on to make the excuse, oh, I wasn't in the area, I was over there shooting, so I couldn't have captured Charlie being shot at the moment. And so was the shooter with him too. And I think they were headed for that minivan, but they didn't expect all the other people. And I think they were surprised to get caught on camera because they were trying to blend in and trying to put the equipment away, especially that big camera with the big lens. But you got all those people. How can they do that in front of them? The minivan was surrounded and even blocked from entering it. And the guy with the monopod was just shaking his head. It wasn't going as planned. What I'm getting at is that Turning Point stated that when they go live, they didn't go live. They always have 4K cameras. The statement was put out that this was a business decision. I think it was a calculated decision. But on this day, they only had 3. One behind Charlie that they took down right away.
Safety team is here. I just heard them say the active shooter, Charlie Kirk, has been shot. Charlie Kirk got hit, is what the security detail just said.
One to his front, which must be talking about the one to his left, because I've seen that camera to his back, still on the left side, and then one to his side. So that must be the one to the side with the guy with the monopod. Now, was Turning Point or someone above Turning Point trying to justify the monopod guy because he got recorded, such as in the footage I'm using in this video? And for the reasons I specified earlier, he used a monopod rather than a tripod. So he can claim he was mobile, but at this time of the shooting, he was right there, the right guy for the right spot because he's part of the team. But how do you account for this guy here who's holding the camera like this with long hair and a baseball cap? They can't keep track of the number of people filming Charlie?
I disagree with some pastors, is where they say we must defend everything that the Israeli government does. You should not defend everything that the Israeli government does, period.
And that's why they Charlie, period. I like you to Google, why would assassins use 2 or more shooters? I can't say because TikTok's algorithm, but certainty for the one silencer will make it too professional, 2 even more. So you need to have one with a silencer and one with a big bang to avoid any conspiracy. Charlie had a very powerful platform, and he would know who attempted it. So there was no room for failure because there won't be a second time because the security will be up to the max, and he'll expose those who tried to do it. Now, this monopod camera guy is behind Charlie, so he can't see Charlie, but he certainly seems to know exactly what happened to him right away. Did the other guy tell him, oh, I got him, I hit him, and he's been hit in the head? Both of them seem to know real quick what happened. It's not unusual, but I believe one of the reasons why he's holding the camera vertically is to minimize any recoil, and also because the front of the camera is heavy. It's more sturdy this way, especially with the silencer inside. Then after he fires, he's still in the firing position because he's very tense. He just killed a man, thou shalt not kill. And if he missed, he would have got someone in the audience that would have ruined the whole plan, and someone would have to take the fall in his team. But he backs up. Then he checks with his partner. When he realizes mission accomplished, he relaxes, and then they take off. And this fake camera lady is part of the FBI hit team, and she leaves in a hurry too.
Gang violence. Gang violence.
Keep in mind, this view is from above. We will have to go on the ground level, so the
This also looks like he's just pushing him over. Why would you do that? If someone just got shot in the neck, why would you run over the way he does right here?
Keep in mind, this view is from above. We will have to go on the ground level, so the line of sight will go up like that. I believe the accomplice with the monopod and the camera is looking at him. Then he looks down, waiting to hear the signal to tell him when to fire. And as soon as he gets the signal, he gives it. And they both look up together because he just fired. Right now he's looking down and tell him to fire. Now watch. I'm going to play it again. He's looking down. Perfect synchronization for a team, a hit team. They walk quickly but calmly. No fear of the shooter because they're the shooter. What threw me off was the flash to his right. But then I calculated that was from the roof guy, which I said had the silencer, but it's the other way around. That's why this is an update. The guy behind had the silencer. And I believe the reason people see a flash from this photo's angle because it's the right angle looking up to go on the roof. But also, you're not seeing off that glass because that glass is refracting to a perpendicular glass on the inside that I had to rack my brain to figure out. But I went on Google Earth and found that out. It's called UVU Hall of Flags. You see, I thought the shooter was from that direction. I actually thought he was inside in those ducts or maybe on that back wall, but it's impossible. So it has to be reflection from the outside. I even thought someone was inside that Chrysler Pacifica minivan, but it's too much down in the slope. I even speculated that when the hatch was up, inside the hatch itself was a barrel that you trigger with a digital trigger, and the camera guy, all he did is press it, and he was just a decoy. But this guy, he's tall enough, about 6 feet, right at the edge of the curve, and if you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth, especially that bullet behind Charlie. But the fumes in the lens points to him, and no doubt this guy is the second shooter. Now, if I'm wrong in all this, I have one hell of a movie script. None of this would have happened to Charlie and others in the world and the demise of the world because I blame you, pastors. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Genesis 12, verse 3. If you bless one person, Abraham, you will be blessed. And there was no Jewish people around for another 430 years later. Even Paul says it. That's why it says that Melchizedek blessed Abraham, and he was blessed with 10% by Abraham. So you got it wrong. And Paul says only one person was blessed, not a lot of people, and that was Jesus Christ. But you evangelicals, because you don't read the Bible right, and you want to be blessed by blessing the Jewish people, well, you are the problem. You caused this. You got this bad misunderstanding for reading the notes in the Schofield Bible. Just because notes are in the Bible, they're not scripture. Because it is written in Romans, no, a man is a Jew if he's one inwardly, and circumcision is circumcision of the heart by the Spirit. So we are all children of Abraham, Muslim, Jew, Gentiles, from all, the whole world, if you believe. And finally, Peter came to the realization that God does not show favoritism, but accepts all men from all nations that do what's right. Horizontal good deeds to their fellow man. That's the turning point. Go to my website, greatest1command.com and greatest-1-command.com and share everything, download it. It's free, and we can make it heaven and earth before the second coming. And my name is Irrelevant.
What do you guys think? This is his YouTube channel right here. I don't agree with everything he said. I'm pretty sold on the guy, on this guy being the shooter. I don't think he got shot from the front. I think Frank and the other security guard were giving hand symbols, signs to the guy on the roof, maybe Tyler, to shoot a blank, to mask, well, to confuse everyone and make everyone believe that the shot came where they're saying it did, the front, which it did not. I don't think so.